Hi guys, this is round 17 in the match between Kasparov and Anand in 1995. Let's enjoy the beauty this game has to offer. In this game, Vishwanathan Anand is playing the white pieces against Garry Kasparov, who's playing the black pieces. Vishwanathan Anand goes for pawn to e4, c5, the Sicilian, knight to f3, d6, d4, pawn takes on d4, knight takes on d4, knight to f6. Knight to c3 defends the attacked pawn, g6. This is where Garry Kasparov goes for the dragon variation. He wants to spice things up. So in this game 17, are we going to see super moves? Well, you're about to find out. Bishop to e3 comes up. Bishop to e7. After f3, Garry Kasparov castles the short side. Queen to d2. Knight to c6. Yeah, it is very important to notice that these two pieces aligns together to remove this strong defender on this particular g7 square. So after bishop to c4, bishop to d7, h4 comes up with the concept of long side castling, bringing the second rook over to this g1 square, then pressure on the king side. h5 comes up, stopping that pawn. This is how Garry Kasparov played it on move 10 in 1995. Very interesting. Grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand goes on to castle the long side. Rook to c8. You see that concept? Placing the rook to x-ray attack the king. It is the king he's coming for. This bishop actually is not defended at the moment, so it can also be a target. That is why we see bishop to b3 by Grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand. Knight goes to e5, bishop to g5, rook to c5, king to b1, rook to e8, rook on h to e1. After queen to h5, what we saw was a3. b5 comes up, bishop takes on f6, pawn takes on f6, knight on d to e2, rook to c6, knight to d5, queen takes the queen on d2, rook takes the queen on d2. In this position, we have knight to c4, attacking the rook. There is an idea with pawn push and taking this pawn, weakening the king defense. So what do? Bishop takes on c4, pawn takes on c4, rook on e to d1, f5 comes up, pawn takes on f5, bishop takes on f5, activating this bishop. Knight to d4. Knight to d4 is a double attack. You must take note. Attacking the rook, attacking the bishop. In this position, if you decide to keep the rook safe, for example, let's say you put the rook somewhere here, then this happens and disconnect your pawns. You're going to have these pawn islands and their weaknesses, which is not ideal for your pawn structure. So in this position here, if we say you want to take a decision, you have to learn from what Garry Kasparov did in 1995. He saw this knight being very strong and provocative. He decided to eliminate it. Although giving away this strong bishop for the knight is a good reason. So, rook took. In this position, rook to e2 comes up, activating the rook on this second file closer to the king. That's quite dangerous. How do you address this? Grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand chose to play the rook coming back home to address this rook presence, asking Grandmaster Garry Kasparov, what do you want to do from here? Well, Kasparov responded with his action by taking the rook on d2. Rook took on d2, king to f8. King starts marching into the game as a fighting piece. King to c1, bishop to e6, attacking the knight. In this position, I was tempted to play this move, attacking the bishop. You see, Black will just leave the bishop there, because maybe after a simple move like this, if you take the bishop at the moment, you are going to help solidify the strength of the pawn chain here. You get it? So that was the concept. I look at it and say, okay, let me not go through that direction. Let me learn from what they did in the game. In fact, in the game, what happened was rook to d4, moving the rook up and still defending the ninth. Here, bishop took the ninth, rook takes on d5. The reason why that knight was taken, I was thinking, this knight is very strong. This is the knight supporting and depriving the king from joining the action in this game. So that knight needs to leave. That is why Garry Kasparov did what he did, giving up the bishop for the ninth. Rook takes, king to e7. Now the king is activated. The king has to come inside the game. So that is one way to do it. Rook to b5, king to e6. Rook to b7, rook to c5. Rook takes on a7, allowing Vishwanath and Anand to grab one pawn. This is dangerous. Well, how did it end? g5 follows, rook to a8, pawn takes on h4, rook to e8, check. The pawn have been equalized. There are equal numbers of pawns. But you see these two pawns at this side is stronger than the two pawns here. Let's see what happened. King to d7 attacking the rook, still trying to stay within the reach of these pawns on the queen side. Rook to e4, going after this pawn. It's a double attack, attacking this pawn too, but just only one pawn is defended. c3 comes up, rook takes on h4, pawn takes on b2 with check, king takes on b2, exposing the king and disconnecting these two connected pawns. Now we have pawn separate pawns on their own. We say isolated pawns, or can we say pawn islands? Well, we are learning in the game. So now number of pawns are equal to 4 versus 3. That is, Vishwanath and Anand has 4 points. Garry Kasparov has 3 points. What is the fate of this kind of endgame? Rook to g5 comes up, going after one of the undefended pawn. a4, f5, a5, f4. Very dangerous. This pawn is matching. But systematically, Grandmaster Garry Kasparov has cut off a defense for that particular pawn. In fact, in this position here, if we had seen a move like this, then I believe this pawn will be way too strong. But there is still a move like this one too. Cheers. So after f4, cutting out the rook, a6, temptation, trying to push this pawn to become a queen. Well, the king can stop it at the moment. 1, 1, then 2, 2. So the pawn can be stopped. So the king is within the reach. So nothing to fear. In this position, king to c7 comes up. Rook takes on f4, rook takes on g2. Rook to f7, check. Very scary. What will you play here? If you come down, you lose this game because pawn push will enable this pawn to become a queen. So you have to stay where you can still reach this pawn. That is why Garry Kasparov played king to b8 instead. King to c3, h4. King to d3, rook to f2. c4 comes up, rook to e2. After king to e4, we see the pawn being captured on e6. No defender. However, the rook is doing a very good job here, cutting out the king from joining this game. But we need to look out for a pawn here on h4. That pawn is becoming dangerous. Rook to h7, going after the pawn. Rook to a5. After pawn to f4, king to c8. f5 follows, king to d8, king to f4, rook to c5, king to g5, we have rook takes the pawn on c4. After king to g6, rook to g4, check, king to f7, d5, f6, king to d7, king to f8, check, king to a6. This is very funny how white had more numbers of pawns, and now it is black that has higher numbers of pawns. Are we going to see a win from this kind of endgame? Let's find out in the next few moves. f7 followed. Here, rook to f4. This pawn is almost becoming a queen and has to be stopped. So a rook move is very natural. In fact, the best at the moment. King to g8, creating room so that the pawn can go up and become a queen. d4 comes up. Pawn promotes to a queen. Rook takes the pawn on f8, check. King takes on f8. Can the rook alone stop the two pawns? We are about to find out. King to e5. Rook takes on h4. After d3, rook to h3. After king to e4, rook takes the pawn on d3. This beautiful game that lasted 63 moves ends in a draw. Thank you for watching. Let's look out for game 18.